to the Sports Mom Playbook.
Welcome to the Sports Mom Playbook, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes with real moms and industry experts for all things sports to help you start or make more use of your time on and off the field.
Get ready for this binge-worthy podcast with some special guest appearances. Laugh along and join us in what we love doing, celebrating the true MVPs of the game, moms.
Let's do this. Hi guys, and welcome back to our new episode. This episode, we're going to be talking about body image and body positivity for young youth athletes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. We feel as moms, and just if you are involved in any child's life, this is a super important topic and one that maybe just people don't feel as comfortable talking about. So our guest today is Miss Barbara Reese. She's a practice owner at Resilience Therapy, and it is an outpatient eating disorder and mental health practice that's located in Montclair, New Jersey. And she's been in business now for over 25 years. And Miss Reese feels it is necessary and a privilege to have worked with individuals and families in this diverse and culturally rich area of New Jersey. She has developed this evidence-based outpatient practice, and she is very passionate about early intervention of eating disorders. And Yaritza and I as moms feel like this is just an excellent topic, maybe something that gets missed and something maybe we don't feel as comfortable speaking about.
Yeah.
And Miss Reese has lectured widely on the prevention and treatment of eating disorders and body image. And we are super excited to have her here today and talk about the why behind what she does and get a little more insight about this important topic.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on, Barbara.
I'm so thrilled to be here and so happy that Sports Moms found me.
Yes.
So you have been in the industry now for many years. So give us a little bit about your personal background and then why you started your practice.
So my personal background that motivated me into the field, I'm actually also a registered dance therapist. So my passion and motivation came from my experience in the dance world. And in a more competitive ballet world, I unfortunately did lose a friend during that time. And everyone from my area either succumbed or they became very passionate. Some of my peers became directors of ballet companies and vowed that no one in their company would have an eating disorder. So that was really, and then I was a dance movement therapist for 10 years before becoming a social worker. So I've always worked with the arts, athletes, and just passionate about children being healthy and staying healthy.
Yes, and that's really important.
We love that.
I love that you have your own personal experience because the dance world is very competitive. And you hear a lot of like negative things, but there's also so much positive to it. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is it sounds like you devoted a lot of your career to helping parents raise children and young athletes with good self-esteem and good body image. What do you think some of the biggest obstacles that children and teens are facing today that you see?
I think it's our culture. It's just very steeped in our culture. Certain tendency to be perfect, to excel, and this extreme focus on external beauty and beauty standards that most people don't fit into, and that really downplays each person's individual beauty. So I think it's really a cultural experience, and social media has skyrocketed that. So I think that's what, parents are trying to keep their kids healthy and level-headed, have to really create a protective bubble in their house.
Yeah, it's very hard. And I think it's also hard with parents now. There's so many things that are on social media that maybe not be age appropriate, and filters and things of that nature.
Filters is a big one.
I mean, my son for Christmas, he wants a cell phone. And
So
I'm like, what are you going to do with that cell phone? You're 8. There's absolutely No reason for you to have a cell phone. If you want to talk to grandma, you can use my
My
phone. But I think it's important because even online, just what people say, they don't
Yeah.
realize that by typing in there that they're maybe calling someone fat or heavy, those words do last forever. And it's hard,
Yeah.
you know?
It's definitely hard. Do you feel like it impacts girls more than boys, or do you feel like that's an even balance between the two?
It's getting pretty even, and it gets
Wow.
even. It's even in different ways. I think it affects boys and girls differently.
Okay.
There is higher incidence of girls with eating disorders, so boys are extremely affected in very different ways. It's
Yeah.
more musculature, or boys obsess about their chin, or
Their
there's a
height.
lot of other things, but they are just as vulnerable.
Okay.
Yes. And
Boys are
I
just
feel
need the
like,
same. They need the same protection as the girls do.
yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that's a misconception too, where they feel like it's just this really body image just pertains to girls, when really I think it doesn't matter, you know, what
It's
your
both.
nationality is. It
Yeah.
doesn't, like, you really can be vulnerable. So I agree with that. Now another thing I want to talk about is we live in a diet culture society. I mean, everywhere you go, it's like, it's
There's
a
the new diet here, and there's
yes,
like the
there's
new
a new
trend,
trend
you
and
know?
all of that. So, do you feel the same health standards for adults should apply for children and teens?
Unfortunately, I do not,
Okay.
Okay.
because adults are already grown and their brain is formed. In children, the brain is still developing until age 25. And when you apply adult dieting standards to children, are supposed to be growing. And one of our Bibles is the growth charts that you get from your pediatrician. That child gets measured every
Mhm.
year. A child should never flatline with height or weight
Mhm.
until certain points in teens. But they're in constant growth, and really children really shouldn't ever diet, and those growth curves should always look like a rainbow. They should never flatline. So it's very creates health problems,
Mhm.
mental and physical health problems when you apply beauty restrictive dieting standards to a growing child who's supposed to be blossoming.
Yeah. How do you find the red flags? Like, what are the red flags that either parents should look for in general when you're dealing with potential, like a flat line, like you said, when you go to a pediatrician, whether it's a teen or a young child? How do you navigate those conversations with parents, or is it the parent driving that towards their child? Like, what do you see, and how do you navigate those tough conversations?
Well, one of the things I think in our website on resilienceTherapy.com, I have a list of warning signs. But I do find, and another reason why children are so different is these things happen faster in children than adults. Sometimes a parent be faster than a parent can wrap their mind around it. They think, oh, it's just a phase and it's going to go away. But some of the warning signs are just a change in, if a child was kind of an adventure. Children naturally eat intuitively. They just eat what their body needs. They eat when they're hungry and they stop when they're full. That's a natural way to eat, and kind of more adventurous. We can talk about picky eaters, but it's really when there's been a change for a child, and all of a sudden, or they're rejecting their cultural foods, and or cutting out food groups, necessary food groups that a child needs for their energy and for their growth of every cell and bone in their body. So it's really when there's a significant change and a worry. Children also not only eat intuitively, they kind of eat and run. They are not really thinking about it, and they're not thinking about they shouldn't really be worried about food ingredients. We really feel like that's a parent's job to in their household to provide the naturally healthy and wide range of foods and feed their child. A parent also intuitively knows what a child needs to grow. So it's when a child starts feeling it's their job to be very hyper focused on food ingredients and worrying about these food ingredients. It's really when that shift happens. And then usually there's a rejection of one's cultural foods. So it's really when there's been a change that happens in a way that is not just healthy, just wanting to look your best and feel your best, but worrisome when the child's really worrying.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, I think those are some good points though, because
Yeah.
I think sometimes parents, they put that pressure where they make a child's plate and they expect them to finish the plate before like going on to like another task. And I think sometimes, I know with my son, he exactly what you just said, he eats when he's hungry.
Yeah.
Like he could like, and I try to, when I'm feeding him foods
Mhm.
and trying to create those healthy things, we have a green, we have
Yeah.
a carb, we have a meat, and just make sure he's in the kitchen with me,
Yeah.
understanding food groups, and he enjoys it.
Yeah. I
You
know that's
know,
something that you do at home, and I think that's great. I know that one time our pediatrician told us that, example, when kids are learning or starting to eat in general and they're trying new foods, they may just want carbs for a period of time or
Mhm.
protein for a period of time. They're not like adults that they want to have like a balanced plate, if
Right.
that makes sense. So what's your take on that? Is that something that you agree with or not? As far as like kids, when they
I
develop, they want to try like certain types of food if they don't want to try one food versus the other.
I don't really have, I'm sorry, I don't really have an opinion on that.
Okay.
I think for the parent to watch that in a day and in a week, they're kind of getting everything that they need.
Yeah.
Or if it's of a trend and learning something new, that it's a transient trend. And again, you'll see that without the now, for example, so maybe the time a parent may want to say, I'd really want you to finish your lunch is because they know they're good. They're going to be out on the field and they're going to maybe not eat for 5 or 6 hours
Right.
Yeah.
or packing a snack. Because that's where I think that's where the parent's intuition comes in. It's like, you know what, let's relax. We're going to get there. Let's just finish our lunch. Like it's also, that the kids don't plan ahead too.
Yeah.
So it's a combination, but it's within reason that you know that your child is getting everything that they need.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, what
And they may go through phases of just learning certain proteins or learning certain things, but it shouldn't be something that they get stuck on.
Okay.
right. Now, how can families and friends support a child or teen in feeling better if they are struggling with eating and their body images? What would be some things you could like recommend?
I guess I feel pretty strongly that it's really the parents who are really, it could be aunts and uncles and extended family if they have a caretaking role,
Right.
but I think it's really the immediate family. And I'm actually a certified in family-based treatment, which is an early intervention model. I'm probably one of two. There's just a handful of us in each state that have this advanced pediatric certification, but it really help. It really believes in the power of the family to stay positive, and younger siblings, not only older siblings, sometimes younger siblings will notice if their sibling is all of a sudden starting to restrict food groups and not and being worried about their like we're just kids, we don't need to worry about this.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really, I think the most important message is as a parent is my favorite book is called You Grow Girl, that it's like a little workbook for children to help them understand, to help them continue to nourish themselves, and especially for athletes these children need more calories in a day than a kid who's not an athlete, and they might need a higher quality caloric food. So it's really to help a parent to really support their kid in knowing that they're growing and blossoming and it's all going to beautiful places. And again, I think siblings will sometimes naturally pick up on it too if there's a sibling who's starting to get worried,
Yeah.
as if it's their job to worry about their intake.
Yeah. So another question would be, do you notice a trend if the parent has suffered that from their own childhood? Do you see that going through to their own child, if that's something that they had history with or struggled with as a child themselves?
Absolutely. So, and then there's a range of awareness. A lot of parents seek out help if they feel like, oh, I see myself, you know, making body comments to my child, like my mother or my grandmother might have said to me. So it's very natural to kind of repeat things that you grew up with. But I think it does get passed down generations, where there's a lot of body shaming or consciousness around,
Like big
being
hips or like,
perfect in one's appearance.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think I'm biased because I see the parents who come to us for help and like, oh, I do not want to repeat this into the next generation. So I want to be careful with my words, and I want to support my kids being body positive. So we are privileged to get the parents who say that is not happening in my kids. Does that make sense what I'm
That's
saying?
great that they're aware of that. Yeah.
That's really great that they're aware. I remember growing up in high school, and this was before social media and things came to be. And so this is like a personal thing that I experienced, but I think Barbara, you would be able to maybe help us out. Is I grew up and there were girls that they just wanted to be model thin. And that's all they cared about. They didn't care about like nutrition. They would literally like measure their wrists. And you're growing, like you're going through the changes that you experience at a certain point in your life. We were all having a lot of body growth in different areas,
At different speeds,
at
too.
different speeds. And there was a lot of comparing. I noticed that. And my parents were very open and honest. They had books, like anatomy books, and they went through it with me. And we actually had someone like you, and I know that you do this, where you go and you speak at schools about body image. And we had somebody come in and talk about body image. And there was actually a large group of girls in my high school that had to go to therapy, that it got so bad that they were down to like 98 pounds and they were just like skin and bones, and in their head could never be thin enough.
Right.
So what are some things when you're going and speaking to these schools that you feel like really hits home, where like you see the students' eyes kind of open up and are like, oh
Wow.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that
Or I
in
need
how I'm
help.
talking, or maybe I do need help. Because I think as a child, sometimes it's hard to talk to your parents and maybe they don't see the warning signs. So what are some things you see when you're out in the field and you're having these conversations?
I would say 99% of the time I'm not talking to the kids. I'm talking to the guidance counselors,
Okay.
the teachers, the school nurses, so that, again, if a child's not comfortable talking to their parents, hopefully they'll tell their guidance counselor, their school counselors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, and nurses pick up on it. So it's really helping us, the school culture. And we've had to talk to, have schools revise their health programs, because they tend to give a lot of adult dieting talk to kids.
Oh, okay.
So it's really, and it sounds like that was quite the peer pressure in that's quite an extreme example. That in terms of having a whole group of kids really, promote that in each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, but with those trends, it's really for the staff who works with the kids individually to talk with them, call them in as a group if they see it. But the education has to be with the school professionals. And again, I'm in my third decade, and I'm still seeing schools have health programs that promote dieting and not promoting children growing.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
sad.
really hard. Now, what are some suggestions that you have for parents when it comes to coaches or schools giving those health messages? Because, we talk about schools, but it also could be a coach. Like there could be a coach saying, hey, I need you to cut this weight, or maybe having some harder expectations for a child. Like how can you help there?
I think parents do have to be proactive, change pediatricians, and there have been pediatricians we've had many kids over time their eating disorder was jump started by a pediatrician saying something inappropriate about their weight. It happens. So I think, it's probably easier to change a pediatrician than it is a coach. That your child may love the sports team they're on and they want to be there, but parents have to be proactive. And if they hear, it's very, very hard to do, and nobody wants to, jeopardize their child's position or on a sports team, but to be proactive and speak to the school if there's a particular coach who's doing any body shaming or promoting a child to be at a weight that's not healthy for them. And there, and as we know, there's what we call the weight related sports. But it actually, now there's now football, younger and younger, has weight standards for little boys. So the other piece too is for, and this is not going to make me very popular, but sometimes a parent may need to decide, if this is really so intense, do I want my child in a weight related sport, or this particular school or community where it's there's not a sensitivity toward kids growing and not dieting.
Right.
So it depends how proactive a parent would be. But when I look back on my ballet company and the girls who failed eating disorders, I was a little on the older side, so I wasn't affected. But it was a ballet master who was saying very inappropriate things about girls' weight. I could give you all kinds of quotes. But when I think about the parents who just wanted their child with that ballet master, he had a fantastic reputation. So in general, whether it's anything about to just protect your child, and sometimes you have to weigh the pros and cons of whether you're going to speak up in a situation with most of the times coaches are amazing and dance teachers are amazing, but if your child's in a situation that they're in over their head with something, in whatever way it is, sometimes a parent just has to step in.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's important. I also think it's hard, but like as a parent, we have to advocate for our kids.
Yeah.
And if there's conversations, you have to show up. You can't always just drop your kids off and run away, because you really don't know the conversation that is happening behind the scenes. I know I try to be at every practice. I try to be as involved as I can. And that may not be the avenue that every parent can take, but get an auntie, get somebody else to step in that you trust with your child, because I mean, there's things that growing up that still haunt me to this day when I'm wearing certain things, that those words, they do
impact you.
They do impact you. And it may be something small that you think, oh, it's not going to affect this child, but it does. It does. And now I feel like even when I'm having conversations with my own children, they have like code words. Like there's these new words. Like they don't just say, oh, you're chubby. They have like other words.
What was one of the words that one of our boys said?
I don't know. I heard them. They were talking about it.
What was it, like fat back or something? Was it like something weird?
Something weird. And you hear these words and I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And who said that to you?
And all they said was like, oh, it just means that they ate a lot. And we're just like, that doesn't sound very friendly or nice.
Right.
So do you see that too in your practice with the younger generations, and they just have like all these weird terms for certain things that are super hurtful? Or?
Well, I thank you for bringing that up, because I feel it's an epidemic right now. There is like the worst thing a child can call another child. Their worst insult is to call them fat. It's just it's bullying, and these words do stick with people and with kids, and it's also, I wanted to bring. I'm glad you brought that up, because the bullying around these issues and the comparing and the fat shaming about kids who are, for whatever, it's just like an insult,
right?
Yeah. Like you see, in our day, your mother wore army boots, or whatever people would say. Now it's always about their body size.
Yeah.
And short and tall, and it's part of what's creating what's called body dysmorphia, where kids get this, where something gets stuck in a child's head that somebody said to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't heard all these coded terms, but that's even scarier, that they know they're doing something wrong, and then they're going to have to code it.
Yes, and they code it. It's just so, and we caught it because we were having lunch and we were just like, what did you just say? So we had the conversation with the kiddo and we told him that, don't say that. That's not nice, but
right.
And
it's interesting because when you have the conversations with them, they're very open to talk about it. It's not like,
it was like nothing.
When you're correcting them and you're like, okay, well, why are we talking? Would you want to be talked to like that? Probably not. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should just not. But they hear it all in school. A lot of stuff in school is where they are getting.
Or even the TV shows that they're watching. Like, I feel like Hollywood or entertainment in general, like I know the shows that I grew up watching are much different than the shows that the kids are watching these days too. And I feel like a lot of that stuff gets highlighted, whether it's like, oh, do I look a certain way, or like Instagram selfie here, or like, do I look like a model? Like I remember growing up, America's Next Top Model was like the biggest show.
Right.
And that was one of the main reasons why a lot of girls at school were suffering what they were suffering, was because they had this like envision of what you needed to be perfect, to be pretty. And that's hard.
It's hard. And the competition out there is also hard. And I think it starts at home, like Barbara says, like you have to lay down the foundation. You have to really have those body images talks. And I think as a parent, you need to create the conversation where your kids can feel comfortable. I knew deep down, I think I knew growing up there was an issue with those girls. I think I was scared to get them, quote unquote, in trouble.
Or you didn't know who to talk to either.
Right.
Like, how do you talk about such a sensitive topic, right?
So
do I talk to the parent? Do I talk to the teacher? Do I talk to a counselor? It's hard.
So Barbara, what would you suggest for like a parent that maybe is seeking out like an evaluation for their child? Maybe they think they need some assistance. Where would they start?
I think you want to go to there's 2 international organizations that where you can look on listservs and find people who are certified and trained. That's the Academy of Eating Disorders and the International Association of Eating Disorder Professionals are probably the 2. So if you go on their list to look for a therapist locally, you're going to get someone who's certified, because we see so many people who've been to people who didn't know what they were doing by the time they come to us. So we want you to, just like if your child had a liver issue, you're not going to go to a foot doctor.
Right.
So, we want to make sure that people go to eating disorder specialists who also focus on early intervention. A good eating disorder specialist is not going to get a kid a diagnosis if it's early intervention and the parents just need some support. I wouldn't think so. So it's really that. And, and the other piece, so to go to a specialist who can help guide them. And the other piece I was going to say that, even within extended families and aunts and uncles, I think the entire shift in this culture within the extended family and the culture is to go to the inside story. What we're losing is character. So it's this focus on external appearance and external perfection, as opposed to like you can even, if people are close to their, the parents are close to their sisters and brothers, family meals, as opposed to like, commenting on a child's appearance, like, wow, you really spoke up to something about their character. You really spoke up today, or you're pretty chatty today, or I'm so proud of you that you won the championship, or anything that would be about who they are as a person. And I think that can start in the home, that can start in the school systems, and to start shifting the culture a little bit, because these kids are inundated with the focus on external appearance and unrealistic external appearance. And actually, if you go to my website, resilienceTherapy.com, on the eating disorder page, I talk about eating disorders being, seen as like a white girl's illness. So it's neither a girl's experience, just a girl's experience, and it's really not white girls, that it's a multicultural, a more diverse. But I think if just getting back to like character, like how you treat people, treating people with kindness, your self-esteem, your resilience, and just spreading that word and helping your child know that's who they are, that's important, not, it's who they are as a person.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think that's super important. I think sometimes people, they get distracted and they forget. And I think also another key thing is my mom was always very good about, like, again, talking about character. Obviously you're focused on trends, but I think as a parent and even as like a role model for children, what are you saying to yourself in front of your children? Like when you're trying something on, are you beating yourself up? Because they're going to hear you say that, and maybe an insecure moment, but then they may take away from that and
mock it
in a way.
Yeah.
Emulate it, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
They would repeat it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's, for a parent, just become more, it might just be very natural. They might have grown up with their mom saying, oh, does this make you look fat? or or
Right, right.
just naturally, that's just or to repeat that in front of their kids. You might just, it's just to become more aware and to go out of your way to not do that in front of the kids, or and or anxieties about food, or if and sometimes the parents may not, children actually need a higher fat diet than adult naturally would.
Hmm.
So it's also to realize that anything they say about their own food, a child's going to pick up and think they should be maybe watching food ingredients the way their parent might, because their parents have stopped growing, so they may not be able to. They wouldn't have the same nutritional power that what a child's diet would have, and the caloric content that a child needs.
Yeah. You mentioned something about when a child is anxious about food. So as a parent, how do you navigate that? Like if you have a child that you are thinking has some kind of challenge with food or, insecurities, what do you say to a parent that's having that with their child, or how do you navigate that?
Oh, we as a family-based therapist, we do want it to start in the home, to them to start finding out what the child, really finding out, like, what are you worried about?
Hmm.
And usually you'll find out it'll be something quite irrational, that, and then they can reassure them that no, you're actually growing, and you do need those carbs, and you do need the butter on your eggs, and you
Yeah.
do need all these things, because to continue to reassure them that there's nothing there's nothing in nutrition that's going to hurt them. It's only going to help them grow. So to listen and find out what's in their head, because it could be something very irrational, that's not related to how a child grows. And to kind of, so do some listening, find it reassuring them, and then if it continues, they go to a professional. But we definitely want it to start in the home, for lots and lots of reassurance that there's really nothing for them to worry about. And
Yeah.
kids can even eat sugar once in a while. It's like, or whatever. It's not going to hurt them. Their
Yeah.
bodies, that, they're not going to live on it.
Yeah.
Of course, we all want, our kids to have balance. And
Yeah, of course.
but to not really, there's really should not be any worry. So it's really, but again, to find out what they're thinking.
Yeah, that's important. Just have
Because it could be
conversations with your
something they
kids.
the parent couldn't even expect, that they're thinking about what would happen if because you'll see kids as young as 9 years old are cutting out food groups
That's wild.
that they absolutely need.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Eye-opening for sure.
Definitely eye-opening. And I want to thank you so much, not only for your time today, but all the knowledge that you provided for us here. We will put in the comments where you can find Miss Barbara Reese. And if you need to reach out to her, I know that you are available in Florida. Your practice, right, is extended here in our state. So for any of our moms, parents, aunties that are listening, if you have concerns, like, don't hesitate to reach out, because there's no silly question.
Yeah.
We wanted to have Miss Barbara Reese on here as an educational standpoint, a conversation that should be had. It's very important to have
Mm-hmm.
the positive body image. Us as on the playbook, we love to talk about things that maybe are uncomfortable to
Yeah,
talk about
I
for
feel
that
like-
reason.
yeah.
So
We have to talk about it. I feel like that's the whole purpose of being a mom village, is really talking about all aspects of motherhood. And this, unfortunately, is one of them that we have to discuss and be prepared for.
yes,
Right?
absolutely.
So
Thank you, Miss Barbara Reese. We absolutely appreciate you and all the knowledge you shared today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
thank you.
And I hope that you all enjoyed it as well. And as always, we appreciate you here at the Sports Mom Playbook. This is Rachel. We're excited to see you on our next episode.
Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Thanks so much, guys. Next time.
Bye.
What job would you like to do when you get older?
Like to be a baseball player.
A baseball. What is your mom's favorite color?
Black.
What is your favorite food? What is her favorite food to cook?
Pasta.
What does she like to do in her free time?
She likes to hang out with us, with the family, and get some chores done.
What is one special thing your mom does for you?
she's always helpful every time when I need her.
What is a really important lesson your mom has taught you?
Never give up no matter what.
What is your favorite snack your mom packs for you for baseball?
The fruit packs.
What is your favorite thing to do with your mom?
We like to go swimming in a pool, and sometimes we watch a movie.
Can you tell me a story about a time your mom was really proud of you?
In T-ball, when I hit a bomber, when she gave me a fruit snack, she was really proud, and that's when I first got my scooter.
Who's your favorite baseball player?
I like Babe Ruth.
What can you hear your mom yelling in the stands at baseball games?
Hit with power, no matter what. Get me in a box.
What is the one thing you wish your mom did more often?
Basically nothing. She's perfect.
If your mom could be any animal, what would your mom be and why?
A turtle, because she's always protecting me no matter what.
What is your mom's favorite holiday and why?
Oh, favorite holiday, Christmas.
And what makes your mom laugh?
Make my mom laugh. America's Home Funniest videos.
Perfect. Thanks, Grayson.
You're welcome. Bye.